The world is no stranger to wars fought over land, resources and ideology, but a quieter, more insidious war has been raging for decades, a war over money itself. This is the story of how Western powers have systematically targeted and neutralized leaders who dared to challenge the global financial system, particularly those in Africa and the Middle East who sought to establish independent gold-backed currencies. This is a war waged not on battlefields, but in the halls of power through economic hitmen, covert operations, and media manipulation. For decades, the US dollar has reigned supreme as the world's reserve currency. This dominance is deeply intertwined with the petrodollar system, where oil, the lifeblood of the global economy, is traded primarily in US dollars. This system grants immense power to those who control it, allowing them to manipulate global markets, impose their will on other nations, and extract vast wealth from the developing world. But the allure of gold, a tangible and enduring store of value, has never faded. Throughout history, gold has served as the ultimate safe haven in times of economic uncertainty and a powerful symbol of sovereignty and independence. In the hands of visionary leaders, gold-backed currencies offered a path for developing nations to break free from the shackles of debt, control their own destinies, and claim their rightful place on the world stage. This prospect, however, was anathema to the architects of the existing financial order. They understood that the emergence of independent gold-backed currencies, particularly in resource-rich Africa, posed a direct threat to their hegemony. What followed was a series of targeted interventions, often shrouded in secrecy and justified by humanitarian concerns, designed to maintain the status quo and preserve Western dominance at all costs. At the forefront of this struggle stood leaders like Muammar Gaddafi of Libya and Sani Abacha of Nigeria, both of whom dared to envision an Africa free from the grip of Western financial institutions. Gaddafi, a controversial figure on the world stage, was a staunch advocate for Pan-African unity and economic independence. He envisioned a gold-backed dinar that would serve as a common currency for the entire continent, a move that would have shifted the balance of power away from the West and towards a more equitable global order. Gaddafi's ambitions extended beyond a simple currency union. He proposed the creation of an African central bank, an institution that would have rivaled the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, both of which have long been accused of perpetuating debt traps and imposing neoliberal policies on developing nations. Gaddafi's vision resonated with many African leaders, and he had already secured billions in gold reserves to back his ambitious plan. Similarly, Sani Abacha of Nigeria took bold steps to assert his nation's economic sovereignty. He nationalized Nigeria's oil industry, wresting control from Western oil giants, and explored alternative financial systems that would have reduced Nigeria's reliance on the US dollar. Abacha's actions, though often shrouded in controversy, were driven by a desire to harness Nigeria's vast resources for the benefit of its people, rather than allowing them to be siphoned off by foreign powers. The prospect of a gold-backed African currency sent shockwaves through the corridors of power in Washington, London and Brussels. The petrodollar system, the bedrock of US economic dominance since the 1970s, was suddenly under threat. This system, which relies on the pricing and trading of oil in US dollars, creates a perpetual demand for the greenback, propping up the US economy and allowing it to live beyond its means. A successful gold-backed African currency would have undermined this system in several ways. First, it would have created a viable alternative to the US dollar for oil transactions, potentially leading to a decline in the greenback's value and eroding US purchasing power. Second, it would have set a precedent for other countries to follow suit, further diminishing the dollar's dominance and ushering in a multipolar financial system. The implications for Western financial institutions like the IMF and World Bank were equally profound. These institutions, often accused of acting as agents of Western imperialism, have long profited from lending money to developing nations, trapping them in cycles of debt and dependence. A financially independent Africa, capable of funding its own development and setting its own economic priorities, would have rendered these institutions largely irrelevant, striking a blow to their power and influence. Faced with this existential threat, the West resorted to a familiar playbook: regime change. The leaders who dared to challenge the established order were targeted through a combination of covert operations, economic sabotage and media propaganda campaigns designed to discredit and destabilize their regimes. Muammar Gaddafi, once courted by Western leaders, was transformed into a demonized dictator overnight. His Pan-African ambitions were dismissed as delusional, his human rights record scrutinized under a magnifying glass. When popular uprisings erupted in Libya in 2011, NATO seized the opportunity to intervene militarily, ostensibly to protect civilians, but ultimately to eliminate Gaddafi and crush his vision of a united Africa. Sani Abacha met a similar fate, dying under mysterious circumstances in 1998, just as he was consolidating his power and exploring alternative financial systems. His death, though officially attributed to a heart attack, has long been the subject of speculation, with many suspecting foul play by foreign intelligence agencies. These are but two examples of a broader pattern of Western intervention in Africa and the Middle East, where leaders who have sought to chart an independent course have often met untimely ends. From Patrice Lumumba in the Congo to Saddam Hussein in Iraq, the message is clear. Those who threaten Western hegemony do so at their own peril.